Thank you, please. Thank you very much. We move on. Messages from the head of state. Ministerial statements. Yes, Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to make a short statement on threats of violence that are not parliamentary. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, fellow Namibians, in Article 45 of the Namibian Constitution, as the supreme law of this country, endows members of the National Assembly as representatives of the Namibian people. In particular, it implores us to, in the performance of our duties, first, be guided by the objectives of this Constitution, second, be guided by public interest, and third, by our conscience. Honorable Speaker, the objectives of the Namibian Constitution are set out in the preamble. More generally, we must be a country ruled by law, a country that seeks justice, and a country that understands our individual behavior is a reflection of our collective conscience as a nation. More specifically, however, we are a country that believes in the inherent dignity of our people. We embrace principles of equality, freedom and justice. I beg your pardon. We are pursuing happiness for all our people. When we act in their interest, we embrace and internalize as though they were us, principles and values set out in Article 95 of our Constitution in order to enhance their welfare. Behavior is personal, but it affects others, and in this instance, the collective of this House. Honorable Speaker, this environment was never intended to be a battleground to settle scores. It was not meant to be a playground for power display and threatening disposition. It was not meant to embarrass, abuse, or disregard any member of our human family. The conception of an August House, to which we clearly subscribe, was intended to be a gathering of dignity and grandeur. And the Code of Conduct of the National Assembly places a specific duty on us to maintain the dignity and image of this imposing, majestic, and magnificent gathering. It tells us to respect and uphold the Constitution and the laws of the Republic of Namibia. It should therefore not become the place, and I quote, which misogynistic violence conditions the female experience, end of quote. Honorable Speaker, the late Dr. Theo Ben Kurirap, former Speaker and at the time President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, said the following, and I quote, "The challenge that all parliaments and all governments face is that we have not done enough, despite the existence of well-documented international instruments, to end violence against women. We must adopt and improve laws that specifically tackle violence against women and must have the courage to enforce them. We have seen too many times threatening body and abusive language that has caused many women's death in this country. Femicide is a real problem in Namibia. A disproportionate number of women and girls have died on account of GBV in this country. The names of Magdalena Stoffels, Cheryl Avia Uyaha, Cecilia and Jacqueline Kausewa, Purity Matengu all have one thing in common. They were sexually assaulted, beaten to death, brutally murdered at the hands of men. Their names represent a long list of Namibian women and girls that are statistics of domestic and sexual violence. Honorable Speaker, although it remains unreported and understudied and frequently invisible, violence against women in politics exists. It takes various forms. It can be threatening, physical, sexual, or psychological abuse. Women around the world continue to face a number of obstacles to being treated equally in politics, despite their increasing presence in many of the world's parliaments, including this one. Honorable Speaker, as of 1 June 2020, Namibia is ranked at 14th out of 190 countries by the Inter-Parliamentary Union for having one of the highest percentage of members of parliament who are women. It is a fact that by simply engaging in politics, women are continuing to challenge traditional gender roles and defying gender norms as they become increasingly present in parliaments, government bodies, and political parties. Yet still, the rising hostility and violence against women, even in these institutions, is not subsiding. Any kind of violence against women, as the plan of action published by the Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication, and Social Welfare states, in politics is a violation of human rights and prevents women from living in a safe and healthy environment, but also undermines women's rights to exercising a number of other rights, such as rights to life, health, liberty, and security of the person, equality and equal protection within the family, freedom from torture, cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment, and freedom of expression, movement, participation, assembly, and association. Fellow Namibians, honorable members, the kinds of deadly violence we have seen over the years, including a Pick and Pay video that has gone viral of a man beating a shop assistant violently because she was apparently rude, in many instances starts with a slap, a finger pointing, and a threatening body language that intimidates people into silence. It is for this reason that we must stop this in its tracks immediately. What we saw last week, Honorable Speaker, is not what our Namibian people want to see when they join us in the public gallery or watch us on television or listen on the radio. They are watching whether the representatives of their Article 1, Sub 2 power are exercising it with care. They are watching to see and hear that the issues that they have entrusted us with are being concerted. Honorable Speaker, all power vests in the Namibian people. We are proxy holders of this important power. It is therefore important that as members of the National Assembly, we defray this responsibility in a manner that it does not threaten the integrity and decorum of this august House. Honorable Speaker, gender-based violence or violence against women is a weapon that is used in daily life and is based on a number of complex but toxic set of beliefs around power and control. As women continue to defy gender norms by becoming increasingly present in parliaments, government bodies, and political parties, we need to understand that these are not environments for hostility and violence. Both men and women can be affected by violence in politics, but violence against women in politics is gender-based. It targets women because of their gender, and the acts of violence are gendered in form, such as sexist remarks or sexual harassment and violence. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I'm reminded by what Thomas Sankara, in a wide-ranging speech of approximately 50 pages on various issues affecting women in general and Burkinabe women in particular, said in 1987, following, rings through today, said the following, and it rings through today, and I quote, "He who does not love women, who does not respect women, who does not honor women, despises his own mother. Thus he who despises women despises and destroys the very place from which he has come. That is, having come from the generous womb of a woman, he kills himself because he believes he has no right to exist. The same to all men, here and elsewhere, to all men of any social condition, whatever hut they may come from, who despises women, who do not know or forget what women are." And here's a quote in there that I requote. "You have struck a rock, you have dislodged a boulder, you will be crushed. The liberation of our women, from the yoke of violence will represent an image of true emancipation and revolution. And we need to decide, as the Namibian society and as members of this August House, what will be the main axis in the fight against gender-based violence. We must confront the particular set of relations that exist between women and men. The relations of conflict and violence, which is premised on the pretext of difference. We must speak and act against violence. No action justifies violence. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the plans we have at the Ministry of Justice to review and strengthen the safeguards in the Combating of Domestic Violence Act, the Combating of Rape Act, and new proposed legislation on harassment and discrimination in an effort to reduce the incidences of gender-based violence and improve the safety and security of our people will forthwith be accelerated. I so move. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, Honorable Benami.